now that we've talked about the history, that will inform the conversation of what FOMO is, because I think once you know where it comes from, you can better understand how it plays out in the psychology of it all in our lives. So FOMO is really about two things. First, FOMO is about aspiration. It's about wanting more. It's an anxiety that's provoked by these feelings, oftentimes driven by social media, that there's something better out there than what you're doing right now. You know, it's this idea, especially in the workplace, it's like you go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn for me is like a FOMO factory. I go on there and I think to myself, I'm a failure because this person got a promotion, this person started a new job, and I start to think, well, I wonder how much they're making. You know, they're probably making more than me. Like, what am I doing all day, right? So there's all this stuff that happens. You start telling a narrative in your head about this beautiful, bright, shiny object, and it looks really great because guess what? It's on social media, right? You don't really know. Now, I just want to, before I move on, just take a note of this because we're going to talk about this later. Beautiful spot, people taking all the, it's like, you know, somebody's going to do like tree pose in front of that. You know, this is the kind of stuff that we see that provokes our FOMO. The second aspect, herd FOMO. This is the idea that everybody's doing something and you don't want to be the one person who's not. You know, everybody watched Game of Thrones. Everybody's at the marketing conference and you're not, and you're like, well, I'm not going to be part of the crowd. And the reality is that this is very much part of our DNA. In fact, the earliest humans, they were very well aware that they needed to stick together. If you were, you know, the earliest humans running around East Africa 2 million years ago, and you got separated from your crowd, from your herd, you could easily die. You could be eaten, not know where to get the water or the shelter. So this is part of who we are. It's part of the human experience. But here's the thing. You know, I always like to think of FOMO in a visual sense. And here we have this image of the wildebeest in Africa. That should have been a video, but I don't think it's going to work. But anyway, imagine them all moving together. The wildebeest travel together for this physical safety I've just talked about, the same way as the early humans. You separate a wildebeest from the group, along comes some predator, yikes. When they're all together in this swarm migration, they can survive. Maybe you get one, maybe you get two, but they're able to survive as a species. Our FOMO is not for physical safety. We are looking for psychological safety, right? That's why we feel these feelings, because we don't want to be isolated from the crew. But as we all know, if you don't watch Game of Thrones, you will survive. Okay, so what